Hello, everyone. Hello. I am so excited to be back to be teaching once again our Monday live classes. Today's class is going to be on how to create a life plan. How to create a life plan. I have missed teaching on Mondays. I haven't been able to teach for about the past month, and that is mainly because of all the different things that have been going on in my life. We have the church, and then my daughter just joined band, and my other daughter started acting, and all of the extracurricular activities, things that come into our lives. So that kind of put me in a little hiatus for quite some time, but now I am back and I'm excited to talk about today's class. So today we are diving into how to create a life plan. I thought that this would be a really great class for us to jump into, especially as we're getting in the last quarter of the year before we start 2023. Now is the time that we start to think about all the things that we want to accomplish and all the things that we want to do. So today we're going to dive into how to create this. How do we start this process? And first I'm going to talk about what is a life plan. And then secondly, we're going to dive into why we need a life plan. And then we're going to get into the steps. I have 4 steps for you in creating your own life plan. But first, if this is your very first class, hello, welcome. My name is Alaina. I'm the owner of The Organized Money. I help you organize your life, your business, and your money. And so if this is your new class, remember we use hashtag Q. If you have any questions, use it throughout the entire class. I usually answer any questions at the end of the class. So I'm going to go through all of the material for this class, and then I am going to answer any questions around the last 15 minutes of this particular class. Also, if you are a part of the Organize You, all of the slides and any additional templates and things that I usually create around my classes will be available on our membership site along with the replay of the class. So just so you know, and if you have to jump off at any point in time, the class is going to be available on YouTube as well, so you can go back and watch at any point in time. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. How to create a life plan. The very first thing that you want to know is, what is a life plan? What is a life plan? A life plan is a written, flexible guide that helps you to accomplish all of the goals that you have set. So that is a life plan. It is a written, flexible guide that helps you to accomplish all of the goals that you have set. Now, why do I call it flexible? It's because this document, this thing that you write down, it needs to be something that is flexible, because we don't have the same goals all throughout our lives, right? The person you are at 20 years old is not the same person you are when you are 40 years old, which is why this document or this plan is a flexible guide. It is not something that is just going to stay the same your entire life. I have set goals that I have wanted when I was 25 years old. And then now that I am in my 40s, I'm like, I don't want to do any of that anymore. So this is why it needs to be flexible, right? So what else should it be? It should also be simple. So you guys know I am always about my life in one planner. I have one book, one notebook that really helps me to organize my entire life. And I am going to do an updated video tomorrow on my entire system, diving into all of this, diving into exactly how I use my system. But my system is very simple for me. It is very simple for me. I have one planner that it has several categories. I have one commonplace notebook, or one notebook that helps me with all of the additional things. It's the same categories that's in my planner, but my notebook kind of lives on past my planner because it's longer than a year. And then I also have my brainstorming notebook, which I show all the time. It's my random notebook that has basically any and every idea and thought in that notebook. So that is how I use it to kind of organize my life. That is my system. And I am going to dive into that more in tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for that video. If you aren't subscribed to me, make sure that you subscribe, turn on the notifications so that you can be notified whenever that video comes out. But you want to make sure that your life plan is flexible, it is simple, and it is something that you can control. I can control my system. I can control my planner. I control my notebook. I control my brainstorming notebook. Oh, Jennifer, this cover, it's the Moisture cover, and it is from Amazon. I will link it. I think it's listed under my Amazon favorites, but it is a cover that I use for my Moisture notebook. And I've been using this as a brainstorming notebook. It's just a dotted notebook for a very long time, but the cover is, it is on Amazon. That's where I got it from. But your life plan should be flexible, simple, and easily controlled. This is something that you should be able to change and adjust at any point in time that you need to, right? So that is the first thing that you need to know. What is it? It's a flexible guide. It's something that we write down that kind of guides us and helps us with all of the goals that we have set. And then the second thing is you want this plan to be flexible, which means that I can change it. It is not something that is hardcore in stone. I want it to be simple. With mine, it is written, it's in my notebook. If I ever need to change it, I could just turn the page in my notebook and write a new one. And it is something that is under my control. I am able to adjust it at any point in time that I need to. All right. So why do we need this plan? Why do we need this plan? You want to know why we need to write down our goals and write down our dreams? Is because most of us will consider our dreams to be unrealistic or unachievable. And this is because we usually have really big dreams, right? We have really, really big dreams. And it's hard for us for our mind to break down how we're actually going to achieve these dreams. So when we create a life plan, it helps us to start to visualize how we're going to make this dream come to life. Right? Like, how am I actually going to accomplish all of these things? It's easy for me to say that I want to create a YouTube channel, right? Creating a YouTube channel is a very big goal. It's a really, really big goal. But the best thing for me to say is, I want this YouTube channel. That's the big dream. But if I don't do anything, then that dream just stays a dream. And in my head, it could be an unrealistic dream. It could be something that I might not believe is achievable. But when I write it down, now my mind starts to break down the steps that I need in order to actually achieve that particular thing. So it's taking this big dream that I have, and it's taking it out of my head, and it's actually putting it down on paper. So when I write that down, when I put it on paper and I say create a YouTube channel at the very top, then my mind is going to say, okay, what's the very next thing that you need to do in order to make this dream come to life? And it could be create the email address that I'm going to attach to my YouTube channel. It could be think of my YouTube channel name. It could be think of the first 10 videos that you want to put on your channel, or what are you going to talk about on your particular channel. But if I keep all of that just in my head, then it's going to be very difficult for me to actually bring that dream to life. When we write down our dreams, when we write down the things that we want to do, our mind starts to find a way to actually make it happen. So why do we need it? The first reason is to bring your dream to life. Once you put it down on paper, it becomes real. The second reason why you need a life plan is because you don't want that stuff to just stay in your head, right? If it stays in our head, it seems unrealistic. But once we write it down, then we can start to write down some additional steps of how we can actually make it work for us. And the third reason is it enhances our commitment. The more I write this down, the more I am keeping track of all of the different things that I want to do in my life, the more I am going to be more likely to be committed to that particular thing. mainly because I'm writing it in my planner, right? Like when I write down things in my planner, like when I write in these notebooks, in these planners, it seems so much more real to me than when I am just thinking about something, right? And even if you are not a writer, let's say you put it in your notes of your phone, you just want to have a way to keep track of the random ideas that you have in your head. You ever had an idea or something that you thought about, and you thought about it and you're like, oh, I should do that. And then it leaves your mind, like you forget the idea and you never do anything with it until it kind of comes back months later or even years later. And you're like, man, why didn't I do anything? It's mainly because it stayed an idea, but we never wrote it down. We never started to put any type of steps or any action to it. And it just kind of remains in our mind of this magical thing that we hope to do one particular day, hopefully in the future. And so what this does, when we write this plan down, when we mark it down that this is something that we definitely want to do, it removes it from our head. It puts it on the paper. It enhances our commitment. It makes us more likely to actually achieve it. All right. So that's why we need it. So now let's get into how do we create it? How do we create this life plan? What are the things that we need to do to actually start to make this come to pass, right? So the first thing that you want to do is identify your long-term vision for all of your life categories. Identify your long-term vision for all of your life categories. So I did a video. It was about almost a year ago at this point, because I want to say I did it before. It says 10 months ago. I did this video 10 months ago on how to organize your life categories. I will link that video in the description box of this particular video. If you did not catch this one after this class, I will link this one in the description box. But this video helps you to identify what are your life categories. I plan my life, I set my planner, I do a lot of my life planning around my life categories. Now, I have 12 life categories, and I dive into all of those categories within this particular video. You may not have as many categories as I do, but you need to identify what are your life categories and what you want to do in each one of them. So here are mine. So mine are related to my time, so my schedule, how I actually plan out my day, my health. So if I'm working out, eating a certain diet, all of that is within, it's one of my categories. My family, just making sure that we are doing things together, promoting family time, our home, our shelter, our space, just making sure that it stays organized and looks the way that I want it to look. My work, so what I do within the Organized Money, and also what we do within our ministry. You know, we have a church. I am also a pastor, so many times I am preparing messages. I'm doing women's Bible studies. I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff there as well. So I consider both of those my work. My money, my budgeting, planning out just different things that I want to do in savings, in all of that. I will write down goals for that. My faith, so that is separate from church. So church is what we do together with our community. My personal faith is what I am doing with my relationship with God. So I will do Bible studies and different things. And so that's my personal relationship. And so that is a section within my planner. And it is also something that I do set goals in. My personal development. So this is reading, this is learning, anything like a lot of my commonplace planning stuff will go under this section of personal development. My fun, so sometimes it is just going out for fun, or it could be something we do for entertainment, or it could be going to the spa, just fun things that I like to do. And I will add it under here, and I will set goals for fun as well. My social, meaning either like out with my family and friends, or if I am just doing things with my my friends and we are going different places, I do like to set goals and plan that out. This just helps me to like keep my relationships tight, right? So, when you have a family and you're super busy, it is so easy to get off track with your friends. So that's why I try and make it a priority. So I'm making sure that I'm checking in on them every now and then, and it doesn't get away from me. My travel, so we do have travel goals of different places we want to go and see, and we don't want to wait on those particular goals. So we do like to plan those out. And projects. So projects could be a plethora of things. I have set different projects for our home. I have set projects around my work, like writing a book or doing something big in particular, right? And so the reason why projects are like its own separate thing is because many times the time that is required for a project has to be separate and apart from the other category, meaning that, for instance, I have to work. So I'm already working on a regular day, right? I am already working for the most part on like my classes and different things that I have to do. However, if it is a specific project for work, then I will separate that, because that would be me writing a book, which means I need separate time for that, which means I kind of separate those things out. So these are my categories. But like I said, you can watch this video as you are creating your own categories, because this video will help you to kind of start thinking through that process and help you to really try and think through your own personal categories. You need to identify these no matter what. Even if you aren't creating a life plan, you want to identify these because you want to zone in on what's important in your life. What's important to you? Everything can't be important all the time. This is why we need to identify what's really important to us at a certain point in time. Okay. So these are all of my life categories. Like I said, you definitely need to dive into each one of these or create your own. Some of them may be separate and different for you. Okay, let me answer this question really quick. When you talk about work, how do you manage all of the different areas of work within that category? Ooh, that's a great question, Brandy. So what I usually do is I separate my work based on the different roles that I have within my work. So what I mean by that, I mean that for my work, I am an entrepreneur. So since I'm an entrepreneur, I am the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, right? The COO. I am all the things. So that's how I break it down. I basically have a job description for myself under each one of those categories. So what does my CEO category look like? It is strategizing for the organized money, or planning out all of the things that I'm going to do for the next year, for 2023, what goals I want to set, what things I'm going to do. So that's my CEO role. But then under the CFO role, I might look at what the finances did for the organized money and set new goals or set new financial strategies. When I'm looking under my marketing role, I am going to be looking at what I'm doing on social media. How do I want to show up on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube? Am I changing my strategy? Am I changing when I post or how often I post? And if I'm looking at operations, then I will be thinking about my Etsy shop, and when I'm sending off orders, do I want to create any new planners or my customer service? Am I going to hire anybody for customer service? So things like that. But I usually will divide each one of those into my categories for what I have to do for work, right? So like I said, it's different for each person. Since I'm an entrepreneur, I would divide it up into the different roles of my business. Like I said, CEO, CFO, and then I usually will go from there. This is why the projects are so different, because under my CEO, CFO, CMO, the projects really won't fit under any one of those. I mean, it could be under the CEO role, I guess, if I wanted to say a strategy for the future. But for the most part, I am going to take that as a separate category and look at separate time for when I need to write or do anything like author related, right? I would separate that time for me to write. So that is how I divide it up. And you could do the same. You could categorize every single thing that you have to do for work, even if you are not an entrepreneur, let's say you have administration work. So you would say, this is my administration role. These are all the things that I have to do as an administrator. And then you may say, okay, over here, this is what I have to do for projects that I have to complete at work, or something where I am waiting on someone else. And that's this category where I will just check in with all of these people that I am currently waiting on, right? And it's the same thing that I will do for my church. So for my church, I am a pastor. And so under the pastor role, there are certain things that I have to do. It might be reaching out to members, might be jumping on counseling calls, things, or preaching a message, or preparing our Bible studies. So that is one category. And then I also have to do administration things where I'm connecting with our team and asking them of certain things. Maybe I am connecting with certain members or setting up events. And then I'm also doing finance things for our church as well, because I'm also serving under the finance role as well. So there are multiple roles where I have to kind of decide what do I need to work today? What is the best time that I need to set aside for each of the things that I have to do? All right. So that is how I manage those areas underneath each one of my categories. It is a category and then subcategories. So basically we have subcategories underneath each one of these categories. All right. Okay, so good. I'm so glad that that made sense. I'm so glad that that helped with your question. Would starting a channel, small business be a work or a project? So I would first start it off as a project, and then once it's launched, it becomes work. So initially, before we start anything, that's why I say before I write the book, if it's something that's kind of like an idea that it's in the back of my head, but it's not currently within my planner, it is not currently within my schedule, it is not something that I am currently doing, it usually starts off as a project. It usually starts off a project. So for instance, I am in the process of working on, I want to revamp my entire closet. I want to like renovate my closet space and do a whole bunch of stuff in there. And so right now it is a project because I have not started. I've been looking up products here and there, but it's not something that I'm currently working on. So it is a project that I'm just kind of planning out. But the minute that I start to work on that particular project and it's becoming something that is taking up my time, it is something that I'm dedicating time to every single day, I will move it from a project into my home planner. And now it is becoming a part of something that I do within the time frame that I have set aside for my home. So it kind of can move from there to there, right? So that is how I usually will set that up. All right. And I'm definitely going to answer more questions as we go along. Let me just give you all the next thing that you have to do. All right. So the next thing that you have to do, number 2, is think about what you want to achieve under each one of your life categories. So this is kind of like what I was saying before, how I have subcategories under each category that I currently have as far as how I'm going to get things done. This also helps me not to get too overwhelmed if I am not trying to think of all the things that I have to get done for work. If I am able to break it down into the CEO things that I have to get done and the CFO things, it helps me to kind of work through those things even more. The same thing that you want to do with your particular goals under your life categories. So for instance, for my time, I could have a time goal to say, I want to be on time for every single event I attend this month. That could be a goal of mine. It could be a time goal. And then I could have a health goal. Now this is the health is the category. And the goal could be to work out 3 times per week. And then for my family goal, it could be have family time at least once a month. This is a goal, a priority, a plan, something that I want to achieve under each one of my categories. It is something that I'm hoping that I am able to get done under each one of these things. It makes it easier if you are setting these particular goals under these sections so you can see how much you can actually get done, right? We're not going to be able to do all of this at the exact same time, but it is highly helpful if you are able to just write all of these things down. Now, I saw this question. I definitely want to jump into this one real quick. Would you recommend starting off with a limited number of categories first or jump in with both feet? I would definitely say start with a limited number. When I first started, I think I had like four. I think it was my home, family, money, and I think I had personal, and I think that was it. And as I have been doing this more and more, this is like my fourth year having my goals set up this particular way. And now I have 12. And here's the thing, even though I have 12, that does not mean I achieve all 12 every single year. I definitely do not. I have I had a book goal at the beginning of this year to read 100 books, and I am currently at 34. There is no way, no way, no how I am going to get to 100. So my reason for creating the goals is not to achieve every single one that I set. My reason for creating the goals is so that I am continuously becoming a better person along the way. So if you are only setting goals so that you can knock them out the park every single time, then I would say definitely start out with like 2 goals, because it's going to be challenging to knock out of the park 12 goals. But that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is make sure that I am a well-rounded person that has a well-rounded life. So I don't want all of my goals to just be money goals, and then I feel like my family doesn't get that quality time for me, right? Or I don't want all my goals to be one thing, maybe home goals, and then my health is failing. My goal is more about balance. So even if I don't achieve every single thing that I have on my list, the fact that I have set them means that I am getting a little bit closer, right? You know, reach for the moon, land in the stars, right? So we are still shooting for the moon. I'm still trying to get the highest thing that I possibly could get. But even if I don't hit the moon, I still am landing in the stars. I'm still reaching for the stars. I'm still doing way better than I would do if I didn't set the goal at all. All right. So that's why we're doing this. That's the whole point of this. It's not to just pat ourselves on the back and achieve every single thing, because then it would be quite disappointing, right? Because we're not going to achieve it all. But it does help us to become better people and more well-rounded people. All right. So second thing, second or third, I can't remember. But think about your personal and life challenges. Think about your personal and life challenges. So usually when we're doing this process, I am telling you to focus in on your strengths, right? What can you do well? What can you do great? How great are you at this particular thing? But this time, I actually want you to think about your challenges. And the reason why is because many times we are trying to zone in on all of the things that we can do. And we are very like, when we write down this really, really long list, it's going to be like, oh, I want to do all of these all at the same time. And I want to hit every single goal I have and knock it out of the park, which, like I said, it's really unrealistic, because many times life is going to life is going to happen. Just like I said, I had a goal of reading 100 books this year, and then life was like, girl, you are not going to read 100 books. It's not happening, right? So that's okay. That is okay. It is more about thinking whole, all about our life and about our life challenges. So what does this mean? If you start to think about your challenges, think about how much extra time do you have. Remember, I think our last class might have been our last class, was on managing our energy. Remember, we talked about managing our energy. In that particular class, if you missed that one, I will link that one below as well. But in that class, I wanted you to manage your energy because we were talking about the 24 hours in a day. You do not have 24 hours in a day. You don't. You have 8 that is set aside for working. You have 8 that is set aside for sleeping. You have about 3 or 4 that is dedicated to your family, either getting them ready and out the door or family time in the evening, which means on average, the majority of us have about 4, maybe 5 hours every single day that is dedicated to ourselves, to where we can do something extra. And I'm not even thinking about like household chores and all of that and how that has an effect. You may not have a bunch of time to yourself. So you have to be realistic about how much time you actually have. Start with your challenges. Think about, how much time do I actually have to dedicate to all of these different life categories and all of these different things that I am trying to do? You want to be authentic with yourself and be realistic with yourself. And the best way to do that is to actually write down how much time you actually have. Starting off with your personal life, your challenges. Okay, if you have young kids, that can play a part into this as well, but you want to start to think about those things. What could help you and what could possibly hinder you from achieving all of the things that you have on your list? It also helps you to know how much more work may be needed for a particular goal. For instance, if I wanted to achieve a goal of saving $10,000, right? And then I said, okay, let me start thinking about my challenges. What could possibly stop me from saving $10,000? And one of my challenges could be, okay, I have way too much debt in order to be able to save because my bills are super, super high. There's not really much I can do at this moment. I really got to start working on this debt first. So I could save 2,000 and then start focusing in on my debt. But knowing that my debt could possibly be a challenge to my savings helps me to be more realistic with my timeline and how I'm going to actually achieve this goal. You really want to really think this through and try and be as realistic with yourself as possible, instead of just being like, oh, no, I can achieve all of these things if I am just able to dedicate 8 hours every single day to all of these all the time. And many times that's just not the case. It's not realistic. It's not going to happen. And then we end up falling off of our particular goals because we are not being realistic with ourselves. You also want to arrange your goals based on priorities. So we talked about all of the categories, right? And I think I might have broken this down in the next slide. No. Yes, I did. I did. So you want to arrange them in the order of priorities. So let me show you this, because this is kind of something that I have seen very, very, very often when people are setting their goals and trying to arrange a life plan. It is when you try and accomplish all of the things at the same time. And some things may be able to be grouped together, but some of them have to be taken care of before another goal. So this is why we arrange them in priority. For instance, your family, your health, and your time goals may be grouped together, right? So maybe we can do something with our family that is health related and we're spending quality time. That might be something that's also on our list for our goal for time, right? So we have done family workouts. Like that is something that is health and family. It's something that I can kind of combine and we are able to do them all at the same time. Also, your money goal may affect your time goal. So for instance, if your money goal affects your time goal, that means if I have to divide up my time in order to make more money, then me trying to save $10,000 might mean I have to work more. And that might affect how much extra time I have. So one may be contradicting another. And if they are contradicting each other, then you may have to choose. Maybe I will choose my money goal first, sacrifice my time, right? I'm going to sacrifice my time goal right now so I can work up to this particular number for my money. And then once I hit my certain money goal, once I hit a goal of 5,000 or 6,000, or I'm close to 10,000, then I will rearrange them again and put my time goal back at the top to make sure that I'm spending or doing what I want to do with my time. But some goals may be affecting another, and some goals might be needed to take care of before the other. We have talked about before how there are certain things that you are juggling that you cannot drop, right? Your family is something that we can't put on the back burner. When we have to spend time with our kids, we have to spend time with our kids. That is something that we cannot put on the back burner. We can't get back to it. We can't come back when we feel like it, because time just keeps moving on, and we only have this certain of time. My kid is only going to be 8 for 1 year, so I only have that time to dedicate to spending time with my kids and spending time with my husband and all of that. Those relationship goals usually supersede all of the others. Another one is your health goals. Health is something that we can't really usually put on the back burner. Now, we might not be able to do as much as we want to do, but we can't really disregard it, because once we lose our health, we cannot get it back. It's not usually the same. So just knowing what's important to you and arranging it in a certain way, and making sure that you are paying attention to what goal might need to be taken care of, then another goal, what might need to go before the other goal, writing them down exactly as you want to achieve them. And like I said, you want to go back and watch the life categories video that I did. And you also want to watch that managing time versus energy, right? Because that class, when we talked about time versus energy, it is not just managing your 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. because your energy is not the same throughout the day, right? We do not have the same energy. Sometimes in the morning, if you are a morning person, you have high energy in the morning. But if you are a night owl, you don't have high energy in the morning. And knowing that helps you. It really helps you to manage your day way better than if you were just to say, okay, it's 5 a.m. I should get up at 5 a.m. and I should be able to just get started with my day. It's not realistic. I am not a morning person. I never have been. I have tried, y'all. I tried every 5 a.m. routine and the 4:30 a.m. wake up and working out in the morning. Now, I still will work out in the morning, but it's more like around 7:30, like 7:30, 8 o'clock. It is not at 5. I just don't have the energy. Now, my kids, I still wake up with my kids around 6, but I am a slow morning person, meaning that I am waking up slowly and cleaning up and doing light things, and it has to be quiet because I'm not a morning person. And trying to make yourself a morning person, or trying to force yourself into one role or another, is setting yourself up for failure. It's much, much easier if you can kind of monitor your energy. You know when you have highs and lows. Like, my energy literally does this throughout the day. So I usually have high energy around 9 a.m., from 9 until like 11, and then it dips around lunchtime. And usually it will come back up around 3, 4 p.m. until it kind of dips again at the end of the day. But I know that about myself. So normally I will plan around my goals, around the different things I want to do, even the hard things that I might not want to do, but I'm trying to force myself to do. I will plan it when I know I have the most energy. And we are going to talk even more about energy and like function, and how we kind of can think through our hard times and our hard days. We will talk about that even more, and more about motivation as well, like how we can get more things done. All right. So you want to arrange all of your things, all of your goals based on when you want to achieve them. So that's the very next thing that you're going to do, is arrange it. And then the last thing, the fourth thing that you want to do, is to stay motivated. Now, motivation is tricky. Motivation is very, very tricky, because for the most part, we are not going to be motivated 100% of the time. Many times we are motivated and then we are not motivated. And the key is to have the ability to push past when you are not motivated. It is a kind of a key between discipline and almost like routine, I guess is the best word, because there are times when I don't want to film. I might be tired. I don't feel like it, but I'm also in a routine, and the routine helps me push past not wanting to do it. The fact that I have all of my lights, like right to my right, I have my lights, everything set up, the ring light, the camera, everything is already set up, right? And since it is already set up, it makes it easier for me to kind of push myself and motivate myself to actually do it. All right. So we will definitely dive into like more about motivation, but here are some things that you can do that will help you with your motivation. The very first thing is giving yourself some grace. So one thing that I have realized is that if you beat yourself up and talk about all of the things that you cannot do, then it is not going to help you with your motivation at all. Like, you end up making it worse when you talk about all the things that that you're not able to do. So I literally have tried uh, to try and like force myself into doing something by just telling myself all the bad things, and it doesn't it doesn't work. Give yourself a lot of grace, give yourself a lot of time, give yourself some space to grow as you are trying to get motivated to do something. Remember that this is brand new. Whatever you're trying to do, it is so new. So to feel like you should automatically be a marathon runner, even when you've never ran before, is not giving yourself grace. It's not giving yourself time. Just think about toddlers when they are like, or little ones when they're trying to learn how to walk. That is me like yelling at my 1-year-old, like, make sure that you just start walking. You just took your first step yesterday. You should be running now. It's like, it's not fair, right? They just started learning. And it's the same thing that we need to give to ourselves. Many times we want to run before we walk. We have to give ourselves a lot of grace. You didn't learn how to budget. You didn't learn when you were small. Give yourself grace. You're going to mess up. You're going to not do it well or right a couple of times, and that's okay. Next thing that you want to do is make sure that you take some breaks. Yes, you have to do all the things, but many times you have to allow yourself to take a lot of breaks in between so that you are giving yourself space and time to actually get this going and grow, right? And the third thing is you want to be proud of the small things, small progress. You may not read 100 books, but if you read one and you didn't read any last year, that's a win. Let's take it. That's a win. Let's win. Let's be proud of the fact that we did something. Yes, you didn't clean up and do all of the things that you wanted to do in your house, but you did do something. And that has probably been one of the biggest things that have helped me is these, really all three of these, but especially the small things one, because even when I started this channel for the first 2 years, or year, definitely for the first year, it took me a year to get monetized. So I was posting videos every single week. I'm posting multiple videos, and I was like, man, I don't know if this is growing, but you know what? I'm still enjoying myself. So let me just keep doing it. And so I would just keep doing it and just keep posting and keep trying to do a class. And then, I would take a break and then get back to it. And then if I had 10 people on a YouTube live, I was so excited. Like, oh my goodness, we have a couple people on, and somebody watched my reel, somebody watched my video. And I started to get excited over the small things. And when you open yourself to be excited about the small things, it starts to become easier and easier to keep going. But if you beat yourself up over every little thing that's not going right, or the fact that you haven't hit a big milestone that you have in your head, many times that will cause you to stop going, because you're going to be, oh, this isn't working. I'm not doing it right. I'm not this person or that person, blah, blah, blah. And we will get in our own head and cause ourselves not to do it. All right. So real quick, let me tell y'all what is coming up this particular week. So this week, tomorrow, I'm going to set up my my monthly reset, and I'm going to be sharing with you all three of my like notebooks and planner. It's two notebooks, one planner, but I'm going to be diving into my system once again to remind you all of how I have set this up. And then we're on Friday, I read this book. It was called The Measure. By Nikki Ehrlich. I really, really enjoyed this book. This book was basically about everybody on their 22nd birthday, they received a box. And in the box, it told them how long they were basically going to live. They had a string inside the box, and in the box, it told them the length of their life. And this book follows about 9 people on their journey, like once they found out if their string was short, if their string was short and they didn't have a long time to live, and if their string was long, and basically how they acted to the news. And I thought that this book would be a great thing to talk about. I'm going to talk about it on Friday. It's going to be like a reading plan with me. I haven't done one of those in quite some time, but I really wanted to do it on this particular book because it made me start to really think about, man, if I knew my future, if I knew when something was going to happen to me, or if I knew how long I had to live, would I plan my life differently? Would I do things differently? And then if I would, why not do them now? Right? So I just wanted to kind of really like dive into this book because I thought that a lot of you might enjoy it. I really, really enjoyed it. I just finished it a couple of days ago, and it was a really, really great read. So I'm going to dive into it, review it, and kind of just, talk a little bit about this one. All right. So let's get into some of your questions. Let's get into some of your questions. I'm going to try and start. Let's see. What do you do when your energy changes in inconsistent manner from day to day? Great question. So many times when your energy changes, I would love for you to monitor it. So when it changes, it usually could be affected by something else. So we usually have a solid system throughout our day, right? Where our energy will be high or low at certain times, just based on how our body moves. But when it is changing, it could be what you're eating, it could be like how you're sleeping, it could be how you're working out, and I would love for you to track it. So what I started to do was, within my planner, in my life planner, I would keep track of what I like, how I was feeling throughout the day. So I would literally write on my planner, which I have the divider here, but I would write on my planner, okay, it's 10 a.m. and I would put like a check mark if I felt good, if I felt great, if I felt like I could take on the day. And then if I didn't feel good, I would put like an X mark or something to kind of let myself, or like an arrow to let me know like I was okay. Like I'd have tick marks under each one. And then I would also keep track in my personal planner what I was eating, how I was sleeping, if I slept well. I would keep track of all of those things, and those helped me to figure out the patterns, right? So patterns is if I ate something, like with me, if I eat dairy, it makes me like, like sometimes I just don't feel good. And I will get sick, or I'll just not feel my best. And so I realized that my eating was affecting my energy. And I also realized if I didn't sleep well, that affected my energy. I just realized patterns. So if you are very inconsistent, try and see if you could figure out the pattern. Monitor your eating, monitor when you feel good, monitor when you feel bad. And then once you are able to adjust your eating and your sleeping, and you kind of get that on track, you'll start to see a natural pattern to your energy. And then that will help you out so much more. Oh, the book, I see a nice number of y'all are asking about the book. The book is called The Measure. This is actually the title of the book, and this is the cover of what it looks like. So if you didn't get a chance, I highly recommend this. I love this book. It was such a great book. And this is a fictional book. It is not like a time management. I know I usually will talk about time management books and different books that you could get on that nature. But this one is just a really great thinking book. I felt like it challenged me to rethink of how I would view life. And really, I genuinely believe that if we got strings in the mail, it would definitely be like this. Because the book talks about how people like kind of start to judge each other based on the length of their strings. You're talking about like families being torn apart because of the string. It's like everything is about the strings. And I'm like, politicians. It's a great book. It is really good because it reminded me, I'm like, man, this is exactly what it would be like. I really believe this. So I really, really love this one. Definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. All right. Let's see. Let me see. I'm gonna try and go back and see if I can catch up on some of your questions. Remember, put hashtag Q if you can, so I can make sure that I catch it. All right. How do you manage all of your work roles? I have one main job, online virtual assistant, 2 side hustles, and when I focus on one, the other work areas fall to the wayside. Yes, that used to happen to me all the time. So the first thing that I would do is first identify the roles, right? Like I said, CEO, CFO, COO, and then I would try my best if I could to decide when I am going to dedicate time to each and every role that I have. Now, if you start to run out of time, like let's say you say, okay, I have this main job, I have this virtual assistant, I have these 2 side hustles, and Monday through Friday, I still have to do everything that I have to do for my main job. And can you get to the virtual assistant? Can you get to your side hustles on the weekend? If you can't dedicate time to them on a Saturday or a Sunday, then can you block off certain times where you're working on your main job and then additional time, like maybe 2 hours after work where you're working on one of your side hustles? And if you still don't have no time at all to do everything that you need to do, that's when you would start to look at outsourcing some of the things that you aren't able to do. For instance, for a lot of my studio things, meaning that the things that happen within my shop. But many of the things that happen within my shop, I have outsourced those. So I have a worker that comes in and she does 2 days a week. And she will pack a lot of my orders for me because I was like, there's no way. It's just no way. I was trying to do too much, trying to jump on classes, trying to handle one-on-one calls, trying to do this, trying to do that, and still get out all of my orders on time. And we are still working on that because even with my suppliers sending in stuff late, it's still very challenging for me to do all of the things and get everything out on time when I want to get it out. But it does definitely help. So like I said, this is not a perfect science. Nothing I am saying is perfect to where I get it all done all the time. That's not the case. But I am able to stay on top of more than I would if I did not have this at all. All right. As a teacher whose work is never done, how do I set a goal for not spending my weekend doing schoolwork? Ooh, that one is challenging. That is very, 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 very challenging. Mainly because y'all know we have our church within a high school. We are in a high school gym. So a lot of the community outreach things that we do are for teachers. And it's because our ministry has a heart for teachers. Y'all have so much on your plate and you have so much to do, and you don't usually have the resources to get it all done within the time frame that you need to get it done. It is very challenging, extremely. And so first, my heart goes out because I know that, many times y'all end up spending your planning period covering another teacher's class or doing something else and not being able to do your schoolwork within that time frame. So many times you do end up spending your weekend or spending something else. Now, another thing that you could possibly do, depending on if you're a morning person or an evening person, is setting an additional hour either before or after like your main day to do some additional work so that your weekends are yours. Now, I do this for cleaning. So with our cleaning, I usually will get up like around 6 a.m. And when my kids are getting ready, because they can basically get themselves ready for school, but I'm just up, we will, make them breakfast. I will clean every single morning so that I don't have to clean on the weekends. And I don't do any major cleaning on the weekends. Usually that's set aside for family time. And it's because I will set aside an hour in the morning, every single morning, to dedicate to that so that I don't have to do it on my weekends and it takes over my weekends. Hopefully that is enough time that will still help you, that you don't have to take up your whole weekend. Another thing that you could do is maybe try and set it to where it's like half of your weekend. Like sometimes I will do like a Saturday morning from like 9 until 11, where I am catching up on some work. And then I set a time where it's like by noon, that's it. Whatever I didn't get done just won't get done, and I'll try and do it later. All right. Let's see. How do you stay motivated after a year not monetizing your YouTube channel? So if you are unable to get monetized after 1 year, I would definitely look into another way of doing it. So for instance, before I was monetized, I was still selling. Now, I didn't have planners at the time, but I was still selling stickers. And I was not breaking the bank. I was definitely like making like maybe a couple 200-300 a month, but it was something that kept me motivated. It helped me to know what my audience actually wanted, and it definitely helped me to stay in tune with my channel. So whenever you are putting something up on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you are, it can be challenging. The first thing that you have to do is you have to love it. Like, I promise y'all, I would talk like this about time management for free, because I love talking about time management. I love talking about money management. I love talking about planning. I did talk about this for years to my friends who probably didn't want to hear about it, and to my husband, who probably was like, "Oh yeah, you got a new planner. Congrats, babe." But I would talk because I didn't know there was a community of people out there who were like me, who wanted to talk about this kind of thing. So I would just talk to them, and I would do it for free. I would just be talking about it. And so now what you have to decide is, would you talk about this thing for free? And if you would, then just do it on YouTube, because you love it anyway. You love it anyway. And then the next thing is, if you're saying, yeah, I love it, but I really need to start making money like now, the next thing that you want to do is look at how you can monetize another way. And it's usually through your channel, and it's usually by selling something else other than waiting for your channel to be monetized. All right. I don't have a planner that only relates to goals. I currently keep mine within my notebook, mainly because I change my goals so often. I will tweak them. It's not like a major change, but I will tweak them from time to time. But I do know that there are a bunch of planners that are related to goals. So if you are looking for them, promise you, Google it. They have so many great ones. And go on YouTube too, because a lot of planner creators will show and like flip through a bunch of different planners that are related to goals. Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, Power Sheets. Here we go. Jennifer's answered your question. She said, Cultivate What Matters, Power Sheets, and Mask Life are both goal setting planners. So definitely look in for both of those. I have heard of both. I think I've heard of both. Definitely Power Sheets I've heard of. So you definitely want to check all of those out, right? And see which one works best for you. All right, I think I got all the questions. If I didn't get to your question, make sure that you put it in real quick. I'm just going to show y'all once again what we have coming up. And like I said, this is going to be Friday's video where I'm going to be diving into the measure. What would you do? How would you live differently if you knew your future? If you did know your future, would you change anything? We're going to be talking about that. It's just going to be basically a talk and a book review. And then on tomorrow, I am going to be talking about my monthly reset. I'm going to be resetting for the month of November. I'm going to be setting that up. If you are part of Organize You, be on the lookout. We are going to be looking at some type of holiday planning. I am going to be creating something for you all within the group as well. And I think I got one more question. Will I be creating 2023 planners? I am. I believe that I am going to make, I know a lot of you all love my daily sheet where I had like inserts. That daily will be a planner for 2023 because many people love the daily sheet, but they want it to be a planner. So I am going to make that a planner for 2023. And I also am looking at possibly doing a horizontal planner for 2023. Now, with the other ones, I believe that they're just going to get tweaks to the cover, but I'm not going to change the actual insides, the tweaks to the budget planner, because the budget planner, I believe, is numbered, like the months are numbered, and I do want to change that. But small changes to all of the others, really, really small changes, nothing big, but I am going to be adding on to planners. And I believe with the Tom 90 planner, I'm going to make it to where you can pick the 4 planners that you want within your Tom 90. Like right now, they come standard, and then you can add on inserts. But I wanted to switch that for 2023 and change that up. All right. So that is it for today's class. I hope that you all really take some time to work on your life plan, right? Working on your life plan. As we are getting ready for the brand new year, you want to set this up. You want to start thinking about it. Remember, I have this particular class where you can, this video, which is how to organize your life categories. And the other one I mentioned was 5 ways to manage your energy, 5 ways to manage your energy. And in that one, that class, that is going to be the class that I talked about energy versus time. Watch that one as well. It will definitely help you with this particular setup. Yes, I am probably going to do some type of workbook or something around this topic for Vlogmas. Y'all know in the month of December, I always do a bunch of different videos and classes. So we are going to be diving into doing this entire process for Vlogmas for 2023. All right. So thank y'all so much. Thank you. If this was your first time, I see this is your first time participating in a live class. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you are a part of Organize You, I will have the slides up on our membership site. If you're not a part of the Organize You, it's okay. I am definitely going to leave this video up so you are able to watch this at any point in time. If you missed anything, you can rewind or watch the video again. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you all next Monday for our next Monday motivation class. Bye, guys. Have a good one.